Yo, what's going on, everybody? I'm Dean Rogers. Welcome to another episode of Deals with Dean. On today's episode, we had a juicy six-figure profit wholetail deal that came from our Friends with Benefits program that we ended up deciding to wholetail. So you're not going to want to miss this. Let's go. Hey, look, it's my YouTube channel. If you haven't already checked it out, subscribe. They even made a button just for you right here. We've got awesome interviews. We've got deals with Dean talking about real deals that we're doing and much more. Why not check it out? All right, so let's get into it here. So I got a call from a wholesaler who called asking to look if we could look at this deal, see if it was going to be a good deal or was there enough room, right? Like, what were we working with here? And I said the property was in rough shape and a family member was actually living in it. You know, unfortunately was a total lowlife, had lowlife friends, was doing drugs, selling drugs probably, and of course had weapons at the property. They also made the property look like it was a total junkyard and looked pretty rough. But he had the seller at $40,000. Now, at first, when I heard that, I thought, well, this might be a total POS and must not be worth very much. I got my partner to check it out right away and pull comps, and he got real excited real quick, said, lock it up. That always means it's a juicy deal. Don't wait anymore. Let's get this property under contract. So the ARV was actually substantially higher and had a big spread on it. So we quickly determined, let's get this thing under contract, and ultimately got the seller to agree to the $40,000 and move forward with signing a contract. Now on this one, because we had such good trust with the wholesaler, we actually decided to put the contract under our company name. Even though they were the ones that found the deal, they were talking with the sellers, negotiating all the communication with the seller, we decided to put it under our company's name. Now the reason we did that was because we wanted to eliminate as much risk in the deal as possible, and we realized with that big of a spread, the best decision we could make at that point was to actually purchase the property ourselves. We're not going to wholesale it. We're not going to do anything else but buy this property as fast as we could. Now, we always do that and call it a wholetail deal when we know that there's enough profit there and enough spread to where it's at our best advantage to not send this out to our buyers list. We don't want someone to mess with the deal. We don't want them to realize that there's a big assignment fee on this, way bigger than the profit that they're expecting to make, to where they might get jealous and try to contact that seller. So just to eliminate any of that risk or escrow acting weird about the assignment being so big, like just let's cut out all the potential risk of this deal falling apart. Let's just close on it cash, and get the deal done. So we got it closed, owned the property. Whew, took a breath, felt good that we had got that part done. Next step was to send it out and market it. So we sent it out to our buyers list, knowing that we owned it and there was nothing anybody could do to mess the deal up. They couldn't go to anybody and say, oh, hey, Mr. Seller, we were the sellers, right? We owned the property and eliminated any potential things happening and going wrong. So we actually didn't find a buyer right away. So we started thinking outside of the box, started contacting the next door neighbors. Now, a lot of times in a city that is, country properties or a little rural area, it's always a good idea to contact the neighbors and see if they're interested in buying. The way that we did this was we looked up the owner of each property by looking at the tax records using PropStream to find out who that owner was and what their mailing address was. And then we skip traced those owners to get their cell phones. Then we would contact the neighbors and see if they were interested in buying the property. Well, even though some of these outside of the box ideas will end up working in your favor, this time it didn't. We didn't get any of the neighbors that were ready to pull the trigger, although we did have a couple interested. And of course, after we had it sold, started coming and poking around, knocking on our door, asking, hey, is that property still available? Well, it was too late and we already had it sold. The way we got it sold on this one was I went back to my buyers list and started making some phone calls. There's some people that we had done business with and some people I had in mind. So I made the necessary phone calls and started talking about the deal. We ended up finding one in particular that had seen the deal before, actually liked it, but was busy at the time and figured it had already sold, which is what happens most of the time when we send a deal out, it sells really quickly. So got them on board, wanted to move forward, and we went to next steps. Well, the next steps on this one was, of course, for the buyer to take a look at the property. Now, what's interesting about this property, as I mentioned, is they had the family member that was just a lowlife living there, taking advantage of the family, had a bunch of friends that were a bunch of riffraff and selling and doing drugs and had weapons. Well, the wholesaler had actually gone out to the property after we closed on it. The idea was we were going to get those people out, either cash for keys or just tell them they needed to get out of there, because naturally a property that's vacant and clean, we were going to remove all the junk too, will sell for even more. So we wanted to maximize this opportunity, especially given the fact that we owned it. Well, it didn't work out that way. We had the wholesaler go out there, weapons were drawn, and the sheriff was called, and essentially the sheriff came out and said, yeah, we're in California, not a whole lot we can do. You got to go through the legal system and file an eviction. So that really stunk and was unfortunate. But the buyer, who then had gone out to check it out, had the exact same thing happen. Guns were pulled on him, people were running their mouths, and funny enough, he's kind of a rough guy, tough guy, and it didn't scare him at all. So he said, I'll take care of them and we'll get it handled. So we actually ended up sending this deal out and selling it for $165,000. Remember, we bought it for $40,000, we sold it for $165,000 to a cash buyer and got the deal closed. Now we had no expenses or next to no expenses in this deal except for insurance and other little miscellaneous small bills, but we did no improvements, we did no eviction, we did no work to it except identify the deal, get the deal closed, and sell it to another buyer. So this turned into an awesome 6-figure profit deal that was a Wholetail deal we did. And you can see here that we've got our closing statement and our net profit from QuickBooks to show you how we came out on the other end. As I mentioned, this was a friends with benefits deal. So we handled everything. We handled the contract, we handled closing the deal using our cash, handled the escrow process, and then at the end of the day, we ended up splitting the profit with the wholesaler who brought us the deal. We all felt like we won big on this deal, felt good about it, and just energized us to get out there and do more deals. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember, if there's a juicy deal out there, consider taking the deal down yourself, buying it and eliminating some of those potential risks that might come up. If it's just so juicy, you don't want to risk it. So until next time, peace.